Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, people on YouTube. And welcome back to William in Japan. Today, believe it or not, we got to ride the 748R once again. It is the raining season in Tokyo. Skies are gloomy, but the ground is dry. So I'm definitely not going to miss the chance to ride this magnificent machine again. But it will be our last ride for sure this time. It will be going to its new owner in 2 days. So we're going to pack up and head home right after this. All right, before we hit the road, let's go through a quick rundown of the components of this machine. So this is a 2002 R model. Comes with Öhlins upside down front forks and radial mounted Brembos. I think before 2001, even with the SPS models, they came with Showa forks. But from 2002, it came with Öhlins. Again, I'm not completely sure, so correct me if I'm wrong. Other than that, it also comes with Öhlins steering damper right in front of here. And it also has a different fairing design compared with the older models. The 916 and 996 has an opening vent around this area. And from the 998, it has now the slab fairing with no vents. So the only ventilation comes from here now. But other than that, visually, I do prefer this cleaner look. So thankfully, I got the 2002 model instead of an earlier one. On the back, very iconic for all Tamburini 916 family bikes. Single-sided swing arm with Marchesini forged wheels. And inside there is also a fully adjustable Öhlins shock. This bike also has these Termioni slip-ons. It also comes with a racing ECU chip that you do have to switch out inside the ECU under the seat. And of course, it is a R model. Single seat, no foot pegs on the side, not like the Biposto. So yeah, enough jibber jabber. Let's hit the road, shall we? Alrighty folks, riding on a 748R for commute or just general city riding. First of all, gearbox. Neutral is easy to find, as you can see there, so you really won't be on a little dance looking for the neutral where you're at a full stop like this. Second, riding position, looking at my feet. As you can hear, both are flat on the deck with a really nice bend in my knees. I am 5'6", 171 centimeters tall. Definitely on the short side, but completely manageable. However, the clip-ons are definitely a bit low. They are not wide though, pretty close to the tank. And the reach to it isn't as far as you might expect for a V-twin machine. So with nice tank pads, like these Race Techs I have on this bike, and also a little bag over here holding my tummy, pushing myself up, is definitely not really uncomfortable as you might imagine. Definitely doable if you're riding in city streets, since you won't be in the saddle for like what, 2 or 3 hours. You're going stop and go, so something as a position wise definitely you can manage. Mirrors, completely useless, unfortunately, but isn't that normal for most sports bikes these days? Yes, sports tours may work a bit better, but in the end, they're small. They're not meant to be that functional. They're just there to pass regulations. So nice turn over your head, as always, will do the trick. One more thing you might need to keep in mind is the heat. A lot of people will say Ducati are very hard to bear in terms of the engine heat between your legs. That was pretty true with my old Super Sport. The 950S I had, what, 3-4 years ago already? Wow, time flies. But for 748R, it is not that bad, I have to be frank. Maybe it's because less emission regulations, you don't have a huge catalyzer in the pipe, so it's more free flowing, so it is more cooler. Maybe, I don't know. But in the end, I don't feel the heat when I am commuting. And just looking at the coolant temperature, it's always usually around 80 to 100 degrees. It never surpasses 100. When I was on a Super Sport, a modern bike by the way, it's always over 100, usually at 102 and 103. So yeah, definitely the 748R is not as hot as you might expect. And finally, going back to the gearbox, yes, I mentioned that neutral is easy to find. I also want to say that clutchless shifts are actually pretty easy too. So we're at what, 4,000 RPM? It's not a lot, definitely in the mid-range or the low RPM side, but still. A little blip there. You can shift down. You can definitely shift up. Yeah, shifting down is a bit jerky, but shifting up definitely won't feel much. So in terms of clutchless shifts, this gearbox is really good. So what is my verdict for the 748R as a commuter bike then? Yeah, you're a bit canted forward, but in the end, both sides of your feet is on the ground. If you get tank beds like these, or a tank bed, you can support your body with your feet and your tummy. I'll give it what, 70 out of 100? It's definitely doable. I can manage the heat too. So yeah, thumbs up from me. So how does the 748R perform on the highway then? Well guys, it's really not much I need to talk. It's a Ducati. It's a freaking Ducati Super Sport race bike. Of course it works on the highway. There are two things I do want to mention. First of all, this fairing, it is meant for racing. If you choose to go for an aftermarket windscreen, yeah, you'll get more of the wind off your upper torso and off your helmet. But as for now, it is hitting right above or under my neck and above my chest. But I like that quite a lot, especially like days like this. It's pretty hot, 30 degrees and over. Nice chill wind, and also keeps you more upright, so you won't get as tired pouncing forward on the bike. So that is, I guess, a good thing with a lower fairing. One more thing I'd like to mention is especially easy to happen, or more frequent I guess, on the highway, is when you're cruising. Let's say we are doing right now 4,000 RPM. If you give it the beans, there is a little torque flap spot between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM. I'm not sure why that's the case, and especially when you're in 6th gear. Let's do it again. There we go, finally got the power. So under 5,000 and above 4,000, you really kind of need to give it time to let it spin up, gather itself, and then the power comes. So when you're overtaking, when you're cruising, drop down a few gears. It's very easy to do. But if you're lazy, just want to give it wide open throttle, it might not react as fast as you wish. Other than that, yeah, it's completely fine. It's a sport bike, it's a fast bike, it will work on the highway. Verdict, again, 2 thumbs up. It's definitely better than commuting, but it's close. So how does the 748R perform on the bit of twisty E-roads? This, as I mentioned multiple times now, I think, is where the 748R comes all together. especially for Japanese B roads. The 916, 996, and 998 is a bit too powerful for narrow switchbacks and really tight hairpins. But the 748R, it just suits the Japanese roads so well. Back in the early 2000s or late 1990s, these sports bikes really have a short seat space, so you can't really shuffle front and back. But as someone as short as I am, the riding position really fits me nicely. I'm really snuck into this somewhat attack position. It's still pretty comfortable in my opinion. Pegs are a bit high, not crazy high. And easy to lean out. If you want to do the old-fashioned riding position, moving your ass out, yeah, you can do that. And even if you're not attacking, you're like, what, 60% of your pace, you can still enjoy the bike a lot. What I liked about the 748R so much is, again, the direct feeling, the engagement, and how just a cable actuated throttle, no ABS, no traction control or rider aids, changes the experience compared with modern bikes. Of course, there will always be the flare and extravaganza from the Ducati V-twin, the dry clutch. But just take that away still. With a bike so engaging to your right wrist, it's just way more fun compared to other bikes that I had ridden before. The closest comparison will definitely be my Super Sport. Same Ducati V-twin, somewhat of a same category, definitely a big difference in capacity though. But for V-twin sports bike, in my experience at least, that's the closest I have to the 748R. And comparing those two, or these two, the 748R isn't as comfortable. Definitely the Super Sport has softer seats, higher clip-ons, but it is just a bit boring, if I can put it that way. The 748R is way more engaging. It feels a lot more fun to ride it, even if we're not pushing. I don't know, it's just different. And that's why I like the 748R so much, and it's such a pity to let it go. If I could, if I have a bigger garage, if I have a bit more time to ride, this is a forever bike. But it cannot be the only bike you have. It is kind of a second bike, I think, in my opinion. But if you're just a weekend warrior, you only ride for fun, and yeah, of course, the 748R can be your only bike. It suits, down to the word, as an enthusiast bike or a fun bike. It's just perfect for that use. So, verdict. How is the 748R as a whole? I think I covered everything. It's a okay commuter bike. Definitely usable on the highway. And it's definitely the perfect bike for a back road slasher. Maybe if you're going on the track, you want a bit more power. Kind of understandable. It is only 100 horsepower. But if you're on back roads, public roads, especially in Japan at least, I think this is all I need. So folks, if you ever had the chance, or you came across a nicely maintained 748R, don't miss out, guys. It's definitely worth your penny. It's definitely worth your time to experience good old early 2000, late 1900s or late 1990s Ducati. On the plus side, it is a Massimo Tamburini bike. There is just nothing as sexy as this. Or maybe the MV Agusta F4. Maybe, depends on who you ask. But I am definitely in the 916 family camp. So folks, this has been William. This has been the 748R. Like I mentioned in the opening, I did not expect to have another ride on this beautiful machine. So yeah, we got a lucky day. And I count myself a lucky person too, to have the honor to own such a magnificent bike in the past year. Thanks for joining me. This has been William, and see you next time. Bye bye.